day that you were free. These documents oftentimes were nothing more than a handwritten note with the date and the slave owner's signature written on a scrap of paper. This was no official document. This was no scroll or embellished parchment. Any piece of paper with a handwritten note, a date, and some signature. Most of the slave owners during this time couldn't read themselves. With a little cleverness and some imagination, you should be able to see how education literally was one of the keys of freedom. All you had to do, if you can read and write, is write to read and freedom. So when they found out that a slave could read or write, they cut off their hands because the risk was too great. But it only took a handwritten note. 2 Corinthians 3:17 reads, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty." John 8:36 reads, "So if the Son sets you free, you will really be free." Today, we're talking about the power you can possess. If you were an elephant, you would have the strength to move, plow, and knock over those mountains. Even the mighty lion will flee from the charge of elephants. It would be awesome if we had the ability to change into an elephant. Yet to my knowledge, there is so far been no human that has been given that ability to turn into an elephant. However, we can turn all the chains, ropes, and mountains that are keeping us from moving forward into the plans He has for our lives. Does breaking free seem impossible? The scripture declares that I can do all things through Christ. He strengthens me. Are you enslaved to sin? The scripture says that God is able to keep us from stumbling and to make us stand blameless in the presence of His glory with exceeding joy. Elephants also have an excellent memory that allows them to find food and water and shelter even in an extreme drought. Their memory allows them to remember paths they traveled 50 years in the past, which also helps them avoid danger. Like the elephant, we should remember all the times that God brought us through and know that if God delivered us before, that He'll do it again and again. We should know that our God is able to provide. Nothing is impossible with Christ. For 40 years during the Exodus, Moses and the liberated Israelites traveled in circles in the wilderness. Our great God caused water to shoot forth out of a rock in the middle of a desert. God caused meat in the form of quail to literally fall from the sky, landing at their feet. God caused manna, also known as the bread of heaven, or angel's food, to appear in the morning after the dew had evaporated. As if that wasn't enough, this preparation of God also ensured not that their thirst was quenched or their hunger was satisfied, but the clothes they were wearing when they left Egypt, they didn't deteriorate. They didn't get dirty. They didn't get stains or holes for over 40 years either. An elephant would always remember that if God provided freedom and nourishment before, He would do it again. I feel it my duty to impart into you some knowledge. With the hopes and the difficult times like the elephant, you will remember it. Foolish people learn from personal experience. Wise people learn from the experience of others. So when the teachers speak, it's a good idea to listen. Last week in one of the classes, there was a question asked. I think the question was something along the lines of, is Simon the sorcerer and Simon Peter the same person? And Pastor John said in response, they were not. Simon was a common name. There is also another Simon in the Bible that little people have heard of. Luke 23:26, as the soldiers led him away, they seized Simon from Cyrene, who was on his way in from the country, and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. What else do we know about this other Simon? The obvious is that he was from Cyrene, present-day Libya, which is on the tip of northern Africa. He is only mentioned in 3 verses in the entire Bible, once in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. He had 2 sons, named Rufus and Alexander. There is no account of any words spoken by him or to him. His race was never mentioned. Yet, based on 2 observations, it is likely that he was a man of color. The people from Libya during that time were people of color. And if we go back in antiquity and look at some of the ancient churches, the early churches, their artwork that depicts this scene taking place of the guy helping to carry Jesus' cross. He's often depicted as a black man. He isn't recorded saying anything powerful, thought-provoking. He wasn't a recipient or participant in any miracle. He didn't have any political, military, or religious title with the accompanying influence. He was an average man of perhaps average means. At a glance, there is nothing about him that stands out other than that he was a father and they forced him to carry the cross. Yet throughout history, it resounds that he bore the honor of being the first, following right behind Christ, carrying a cross that wasn't his to carry. Just as Jesus was on route to pay the debt of sin that he alone did not incur. The late African-American preacher named Martin Luther King Jr. once said, even if it falls your lot in life to become a street sweeper, go out and sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Go out and sweep so well that even the hosts of heaven and earth will have to look down and pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. Go out and be the best at whatever you are. The late Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa, said, don't judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up. It always seems impossible until it's done. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. And in conclusion, you are awesome, attentive, and able. You are bold, brilliant, and beautiful. You are capable, confident, and caring. You are delightful, thoughtless, and determined. You are earnest, effervescent, and eloquent. You are fabulous, fantastic, and fascinating. You are gallant, gracious, and generous. You are hardworking, happy, and hopeful. You are inventive, intelligent, and insightful. You are joyful, jovial, and jubilant. You are keen, kind, and knowledgeable. You are lovely, lively, and loyal. You are meticulous, mindful, and marvelous. You are neat, nourishing, and noble. You are observant, optimistic, and original. You are passionate, positive, and peaceful. You are quiet, and qualified. You are rugged, robust, and righteous. You are snappy, special, and smart. You are thoughtful, talented, and tenacious. You are uplifting, unique, and unparalleled. You are versatile, vibrant, and valuable. You are exemplary, X Factor, and Zeno. You are young, yay-saying, and yielding. You are zippy, zesty, and zany. Through Christ,